Hello world. The sun is shining and I'm almost finished with the Nlnet grant. I'm basically just doing the rounds and checking that stuff works now. So I figured I would do a little video, both to show the world what's been happening the last year and also to show the people at Nlnet basically what I've been up to. Um, so let's check the search engine. I think just overall as a statement of how it's been going, I think it's been going pretty well. The search result quality, and this isn't necessarily part of the grant work, but the search result quality has been looking pretty good. I've in part found some bugs, and in part improved the rankings a bit to basically to the effect where the search results are looking very nice, and they have a very nice personal feeling, which is something I've always wanted. So let's check, let's do a search for mechanical keywords. We also saw an ad or a bot blocker I've had to implement. I was using Anubis for a while, but it had some accessibility problems where people who didn't use JavaScript weren't able to basically get past it. So now I have a timing-based one instead, where you can use any browser, no matter how primitive, it should still work. But back to our search query. The first result for mechanical keyboard is basically this blog post, which is looking spectacular. And then we have this guy. Again, looks like the sort of results you want. And then you have this guy, yet again, even more nice results. It's not perfect. It never is, but it's looking very very nice. As for the features and functionality we have been working on within the grant, the first one I want to mention is PDF support. Let's just define the PDF. Let's add the format PDF, and then we should be unearthing some results that mention mechanical keyboards that are PDFs. I'm not necessarily sure we will be finding a PDF about a mechanical keyboard. I think look at this guy, see what it's about. Oh, there's no keywords here. Let's try this guy then. This one is this one is a better match, I think. The PDF support is for PDFs that are of a quality where they are machine readable. It's pretty good. Far from every PDF is machine readable. It's a printing format first and foremost, so the data can be arranged in some pretty unusual ways, and reconstructing that it's non-trivial to say the least. So the PDF support is, well, it works if the PDF cooperates, and I think that's as good as it's going to get without reaching for some very advanced OCR based approaches. I think state-of-the-art large language models do a reasonable job of dealing with the hard cases of PDF reading, but that's not something that's feasible to integrate at a search engine scale where you need to process like possibly hundreds of millions of PDFs. So this is probably about as good as it's going to get. Um, and let's do another one that's sort of working, but far from perfect, and that's language processing. We can switch over to Swedish mode, and we shouldn't be finding anything. This is actually miscalculated. articulate. Actually, no. This is there's some Swedish in here. This is Swedish. Um, bilingual. So the language identification logic was a bit confused with that one. Let's look for something that's a bit less over-specified than PDFs about mechanical keyboards. Let's look for the Ministry of Education random criteria. This is working, and this is all in Swedish. We have support for French and German as well. That's a bit more primitive. I don't speak French or German, so we're missing some configuration criteria that could possibly help. I have had some francophones reach out and point out that it wasn't doing a perfect job, so I did some corrections. But yeah, it nominally supports French and German, at least. The ambition for language support was never to like have full support for every language out of the box. That would be a ridiculously ambitious goal, and I don't think that would be possible within the scope of a year. The ambition has been to basically figure out how much work is it to support multiple languages, and then add support for a couple of them as a sort of template for adding additional languages. And the way we have arrived at this is I'm loving this advertisement from Firefox, by the way. And that's really what I want in my web browser, more advertisements. Let's go to the Git repository. This is where I wanted to go. And then we can go and look at the functions, language processing. We can look at the XML definition of these languages. First, we have a doc type definition over here that's basically defining the grammar of the XML, and then we arrive at the English configuration, and basically this bit is setting up some rules for how to process it, and then there's a bunch of these part of speech patterns that are used to extract basically named entities and so on. For Swedish, we have a much simpler set of patterns, and for French and German, we don't have any at all. And then there was some Iranian guy who wanted Persian support as well, so we have very sketchy support for that, and it's commented out by default. I don't think it's good enough as it is. But it's been good to have basically exercised the UTF-8 capabilities of the language processing, using a language that's not predominantly Latin-based. And we also have some nominal RTL support in some of the UIs thanks to this. So that's something at least. So there's more stuff to be done here with regards to fully supporting especially any language, and there are languages that are going to be very hard to support, including Russian and Japanese. There are some libraries for that we could possibly pull in if someone is really into that, but finding someone who is both into Java and into like old school natural language processing it's a small Venn diagram. But we can always keep looking. I think there's not really too much more to say about that. And this is actually a preview for the next feature, which is custom filters. I was messing around a bit in this, and we want to switch back to English now. And we want to close this and then reopen it. Edit custom filter. I've added a custom filter here. We can remove it and then recreate it just for the sake of showing how it's done. And let's look for Plato, I think. Is this using the filter I want? Right, I wanted to reset that there as well. Now we should be in agreement with the unfiltered result and the custom filtered results, which is the baseline I wanted. And let's recreate that filter I had, which did a bunch of funny things. Let's ban Aristotle. We want Plato, but not Aristotle. Let's say. And now we see a shift in results. There's no Aristotle in here, obviously. And the article about Plato the philosopher turned into an article about Plato the computer system, which wouldn't mention Aristotle, I think. And let's also promote the classics department at MIT. Let's see, did I save this? No, I didn't. No, this guy is even more promoted. And then I'm getting like 125 different results. I'm not sure if I did that before. And the other thing we did was to basically prioritize old school results. So let's do that again, and it's going to give us very crunchy results now. I think, yeah. So we're getting like plain text files and stuff that looks like this. Yeah, so that's a bit of a nonsense filter, but just to show the capabilities a bit, we can also export this. I ended up recording this video twice because I had some audio quality issues, so we have some duplication here. No, that's not what I wanted to do. That's like that. So this is basically the filter. It's just some very simple XML. You can hand roll these and import them, or you can export them and save them. These custom filters, they're only saved to local storage. So if you have a really cool filter, you probably want to save it before it goes away. I don't want user accounts on the search engine, so that's basically where we are. And these exported XMLs, they use the same format as used internally by the system for specifying these filters. So you can, if you build a very cool filter, you can actually just make a pull request and have it added to the sidebar if you want. And these filters are also possible to push to the API gateway if anyone is using that. You can make a filter in the custom filter editor and then push it, and then you can access it via API if you want. So that's pretty neat. Right, enough about that. We want to go back to the unfiltered search results, and then we want to look at some spammy websites because we have some new features we want to look at. This will select results that have been flagged as containing advertisements by the search engine, and we want to look at the basically the data we've found to base that decision on. So let's go to the site viewer, and we have some delays again. Then we can look at, we have a new submenu here. We can look at requests, and this is extracted via a headless browser that basically visits the root of the website, and then it captures all the network requests using some very hacky, basically a custom browser extension that cramps that. It's not easy to get that information out of a headless browser. It's surprisingly difficult, but we have this information, and that's very nice. And in this UI, we are annotating it with the DuckDuckGo tracker radar information. Internally, we use our own list of trackers, but for the UI, we get this very nice annotated view of what requests are being sent. So we can see that this Metropolitan Museum, they are talking to this ad server place, and they are talking to Google via double click, and they're talking to Facebook and Google Analytics, and so on and so on. LinkedIn, there's TikTok, and everywhere. So we can just snitch on them, and then we can downrank their results. So statement about how we want the web to be. And this is part of why the results are so clean now. We're penalizing all these websites that are talking to trackers and ad servers and so on. Right. Let's look at their server availability. This is another new feature, which is a process that roughly at least once a week, ideally more often than that, will send a request to a server. We call it a ping. It's not actually like ICMP ping, but we're probing a bit. See, is it online? Isn't it online? And mainly this is used by the crawler to decide what to do when we can't reach a website. If we haven't been able to talk to a server for several weeks, then we probably will just discard all the crawl data from that server because it's dead. But if we have like fairly recently been able to talk to it, looking at this data, and we can't reach it via the crawler, then we will keep the crawl data but not index the results until the next time we don't do a crawl. So that's very useful, and it helps a lot of avoiding unnecessarily big recrawls when something has just dropped offline, and it lets us throw away data we don't need anymore. So that's nice. We're basically showing this for the sake of transparency, and this is a bug I fixed literally yesterday to do with the HTTP client from Apache that has some sketchy implementation of compression, automatic decompression. But never mind about that. We can see it's been available. We last pinged it 6 days ago, so it's probably about time. And it took 150 milliseconds to resolve, so that's also cool. We also do a fingerprint of the server with this ping request, and this is necessary to decide if the server has changed owners or there's been a major change, versus if it's a minor change like a certificate renewal or something like that. So if we see like a big change of autonomous systems, and the certificate changes and the IP changes and everything changes, then that's pretty sus. But if we see like this, just a bunch of certificate changes, then that's probably just a renewal. I think this guy, we're actually not showing the change. Some of this stuff would be too expensive to show because we would need to basically store a bunch of headers and so on that we don't want to do. This is fairly large in terms of like disk space and so on. So this is just a summary, and in this case, there's not too much to be said. Content security policy. We lacked content security policy for the last request, and then we have it here. And we had a bug up until the 17th of February where this was correct. But because we're showing historical data, we need to keep showing the warning. Let's see if we can say anything interesting about this guy. This looks like another renewal. They keep vacillating about their course policy, that stuff happens, or maybe we are redirected somehow. Yes. Let's see. You can also see like a snapshot uh, of the fingerprint and what server they're using and if they're using compression and so on. So that's pretty cool. Is there anything else I want to show? I don't think so. Actually, can I show you that? Yeah, actually stuck me. I forgot the feature. So I'm inserting it here. We have basically non-safe for work filtering implemented as well. So I'm not going to be digging too deep into this because I don't know what YouTube will do with my account if I do. But let's go looking for some escort services. And you can see this is probably not the sort of results you want if you have a non-safe for work filter enabled, but we don't, so that's fine. This is kind of spammy results. I won't click on them. Let's see what happens if we enable non-safe for work filtering. We still get a few that break through, but it's a lot cleaner at least. This is a very hard problem. Ended up training a basic neural network to basically detect these results, and yeah, it's not entirely trivial. I think I can actually show you how you train that while I'm at it. This is on the test server, so that should be fine. Let's do this. And it will spit out a bunch of non-safe for work features, so you can enjoy that if you want. And training this takes a couple of minutes. We have like 50,000 samples to train across. Yeah, so it's been working surprisingly well, given how hard a problem it is. I mean, if you show 100 people a link and ask them to tell you if it's not safe for work or whatever, uh, they won't agree on almost anything. There's some very difficult boundary problems there. So for what it's worth, I think it's working pretty well. The results are certainly a lot cleaner, even if they're probably never going to be perfect. And we have some valuations here as well. So almost 90% accuracy and F1 of 87. That's pretty good. There's always a problem of base rates in this regard. So you have like the actual frequency of non-safe for work content in the index is relatively small. So even a small amount of false positives or negatives are going to have a skewed effect on the results. But yeah, and that's just something I wanted to insert as well. I will do some editing to inject this. Yeah, one of the things. Let's go into production. Let me pause this for a moment so I can type my password. And we should be on pause now. So this is in production, and we are actually having stuff happening here. We are running RSS feed retrieval, and this is happening on the real-time node. And this is something that's fairly happened this year. Had a lot of these small processes like the ping process and the DOM sample process, which I also talked about, which is where we capture network requests. Initially, these were running like all the time and had to try to orchestrate their requests to not hit servers too frequently across multiple processes, and that's really nasty to do. So now you see these are these guys are waiting, and that's because we have a run schedule. So these guys will run basically for a window of time, and then some other process will start up and run. This is very helpful to manage resources, but not network resources and system resources. It does make testing this a bit gnarly because you need to set this up and then wait possibly up to a day to see if something happened. But um, for running a system this large, I think it's hard to avoid. You don't want to have like a button press and then something that launches 1,000 requests a minute spawns. That's a bit dangerous. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Do we have anything else to show? Let's see. I think we can look at the. This is actually a feature that was previously implemented, then broken, then fixed again, which is the ability to look at. Of course, it's not working now. Right, it should be saying parquet here because we're not using parquet anymore. We're using a different format, but we have the ability to look at the crawl data again. So that's very nice. This is looking a bit crunchy, this table, but that's fine. This is very helpful when someone emails me and says, "Hey, my website isn't indexed. Why is that?" Now I can figure out what's happened. Yeah, I need to. This is actually part of why I wanted to do this, because nothing brings out issues like doing a demo. So I need to change this wording. I need to change this wording because neither are actually parquet. We are using the slop format, which is not AI generated, but it's a funny word, and storage format is only as good as it is overlapping and overloading other terms. Yes, but we were able to at least download this, and we can get the data in here. And this is just a simple columnar format, and this isn't actually new, but yeah. So overall, things that appear to be working. I keep finding these small things to fix, and I will keep doing so until I'm happy. And then I will basically be sending this off, and then I will be kicking off my shoes and taking a few days off because I've been working a lot. That's how it goes when you're your own boss. At least when I'm my own boss, I sometimes work a lot of hours and then I don't work any hours. Yeah, so I think it's gone pretty well. There's some serendipity in the first recording being very crunchy and not sounding very good. Is that I was able to do this again and probably get a more coherent take. This is running on for long enough, so let's wrap up here.